Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm Olivia.
I'm JaCee. Welcome back, guys.
Yes.
Thank you for coming back
after last week's episode.
I mean, we love Ellen, but there was chaos last week.
Grant
we'll admit it. Yeah, we love Grant too.
Just like both of them were in it. I forgot on last week's episode, but my older sister that we had talked about, if you listened to the Bible story episode,
oh yeah,
she did send me a voice memo.
Did she fact check us?
Yes, just on a couple things. Let me pull up her message because now not so many texts from so many people. Okay, let's see what she said. We don't need to listen to the whole thing, but just
okay. I just finished listening.
I don't know how to make it
fresh in my head. I have never thought about 12 different fruits. Obviously, it wouldn't be beyond God's capabilities, but I think because there are so many verses that talk about like, a fig tree doesn't produce apples, an apple tree doesn't produce figs, and all of this, the scripture references about, the source of something, and how, like, if we are not in Christ, we're not going to produce Christ's work, and if we say that we're in Christ and we're not producing Christ's work, then, we're a liar, and that's used a lot in reference to trees and plants. And so I think the tree of life and the tree of good and evil, I think about it in that. So if the tree of life is every month producing a different fruit, that just doesn't seem to line up scripturally. There's nothing about it that I've ever seen in Genesis. It seems like it would be extra biblical text that it might have came from. So that's all I have to say about that.
So scratch that, maybe.
12 different things and 7 different things in Revelation, but I don't recall anything being about fruit in the tree of life. But that's where I would go.
She said so, maybe in Revelation.
That's where I feel like I'd heard it.
Yeah.
Like it was like in my head, it's like a fruit for every month or something.
I don't recall anything ever hearing that. Yes, I was in Bible drill and did memorize a lot of scripture to be in that, and that was fun. I think Grant should definitely do some Seeds family worship music with Grant. There are a lot of really fun songs. The Corner Room is another one that's really good.
Yeah, so basically then she just goes on to like tell me about the artists, different music and stuff like that.
That has like scripture in it.
Yeah, that's very scriptural based.
That's cool.
So if you guys want those, I can give them to you, but we won't listen to anymore. But
this is the verse that I think I was getting it from. I did pull it up. The tree of life is mentioned in the Bible, specifically in Revelation 22. It's described bearing 12 kinds of fruit and yielding a fresh crop each month.
So in Revelation, when it's talking about
but that might not be
time.
like, again, I don't know.
It's not happened yet, probably.
Right. Yeah, it wouldn't happen till I believe like
the new heaven and the new earth.
Yeah, the new heaven and the new earth.
Okay.
I think.
So,
but please,
it is in the Bible.
Yeah, fact checked me.
Yeah. But yeah, and then I think she goes on and says that like it was very interesting the way that the modern day take on those stories and stuff. But yeah. Anyway, so
here's the full verse. In the midst of it all, on either side of the river, there was the tree of life, which bare 12 manners of fruits, and yielded her fruit every month. And the leaves of the tree were for the healing of the nations.
Okay, so there you go in Revelation.
But I don't know if that actually means like, are there just 12 different trees? I don't know.
Right. I think if you wanted to get it in context, go and read that full chapter.
Yeah,
if you're curious, because that's
Revelations is good.
Sometimes it scares me.
I mean,
we're
yeah.
in the thick of it.
Yeah, it's
right. Don't you feel like that? It's like, I mean,
I feel like it brings a lot of like closure to, like knowing that Christ wins in the end.
Oh yeah, I always think that. Adam and I say that to each other all the time. Like, oh, this like the sick stuff that's going on in the world. Like, okay, the Epstein files. Why are we not doing anything about it? Like, it's just confirmation that all these people are wicked and evil and above the law. Okay, there it is. And it's like, okay, but God is on his throne. He wins in the end. All of these people, if they don't turn and repent, or they're going to go to hell and they're going to get their just desserts. But, like, it's so yeah, you can lose sight, and you just have to remember that God is sovereign. He's on his throne, and he reigns and rules in the end, and still does. He reigns and rules now, and he will win in the end.
That is true. Facts. Read Revelation.
Yeah. Don't be scared of it.
I did a Revelation study. I can't remember if there's a Jen Wilkins Revelation study at Bible study that I do like my Wednesday group.
Oh, yeah.
And it was really good. I'd have to go back and like, obviously I think that there's little things you like pull from it that you kind of keep. But if I actually like went back and like read it again, I'd be like, oh yeah, that's what she said. Or
yeah, it's always good to refresh stuff. I like to think about the Bible study that we did 2022.
Oh,
that
yeah.
we like did together, or was it? I don't know.
It might have been 2023.
No, because Grant wasn't born yet.
No, maybe it was like end of 2022.
Because I wasn't pregnant. It was like after I had my miscarriage and you were going through your divorce.
Yeah.
So and we did that one together. I think about that one.
Oh,
it
was
like
that called?
I still have it. I think about going back through it, but it's like it was basically like the sovereignty of God and learning all of the characters of God.
I forgot I remember we did it, but I forgot like that we had just did one, the two of us. That was good.
Yeah, that was good. It was a lot. That. It was
yeah.
It was like
did your dad recommend it or no? No, it was when Sam had recommended, and I was like, "Do you want to do this with me? Because I need a buddy.
Yeah,
I need a motivation buddy."
Yes, that was a good one. Anyways,
yeah. I had my birth class today, and it was all about interventions. That was very eye opening.
I mean, you kind of probably went in with a little more knowledge than some people, like because of your mom, or no?
Yes, I think like the act of like, oh, I know what an epidural is, or I know what like, oh, people get induced, or you know, just different things like that. But
so did you learn
just
about,
like going in depth of it and just like everything? A lot of it was like the intervention, what it does. And then it was like the side effects of the interventions, or like the risks that it could cause. Yeah. Yeah. Potential, or just no, everyone has that kind of thing. Yeah. And so it was interesting. And then we watched a video. I had watched like some birth videos in the first class, and they were all like women who were like in the squatting position giving birth, like unmedicated. And I was like, oh, wow, because it was just like rapid fire, like birth after birth. And then we watched a video of like a saddleback birth, which was something that they did, like it started in the 60s, but it happened all the way up until the 90s. And it was like an epidural, but it was a block. And then they would like strap your hands down. They would strap your feet down.
That sounds so horrible.
And literally it looked almost like it gave C-section vibes, because like everything was draped. The mom was on oxygen, and like we got to see the episiotomy happen, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I had to close my eyes for a little bit, because just seeing, well, let's be honest, I don't do good with blood anyway. So maybe if you're like a normal person who can just handle blood, you'd be like, oh, that wasn't that bad. But for me, I was like,
no, I can't push my own cuticles back. And yesterday Grant had like his toe, I think from swimming or whatever, he had some skin peeling off of it, and I had to call Adam up because Grant was like picking at it, and I was like, can you take care of this for him? And I had to like look away. So I'm with you.
Yeah, so it was just like it was interesting to watch, and it was also just like I'm very happy and fortunate that I'm not going to say like one thing's right or wrong, because like what you choose to do is your choice, and like ultimately you're the only one that lives with that choice. But just like seeing some stuff, I was like, oh, I know now that I definitely don't want that, or you know, like certain things. So yeah, it was good to see. So far the classes have been really good. I think this was week 5 or 6, so we have like two or 3 left.
Nice.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess, is there anything else you want to throw out before we start our actual
I don't think so, but did you finish so in the saddleback thing, you're strapped down, and then you're just supposed to push from a strapped down position?
Mm-hmm. And obviously, like, you've had an epidural, so you kind of like, they have to tell you to push, because you don't really have that like sensation of, naturally you would have like the urge to bear down and push.
Yeah, I had that with Grant, and they told me to stop pushing, and that's when like things went horrible.
And
not horrible, it was fine. It was fine.
Right, and it's like you should never be told not to push, because anyone can catch a baby. Yeah. Like there's no reason why if you need to push, you should let your body like follow its natural
and
urges.
What they were telling me was like, no, there's still cervix in the way.
It would have moved out of the way. Like that's how it starts.
As I start pushing, it probably would have just started shifting out of the way, you know? So it's like, just because it's not as easy for you or because it's going to cause me a little more pain.
Right. Was the doctor in the room?
No.
Yeah, that's why they told you not to.
Because I literally, with Grant, I was like starting to like hold on to Adam and I was like squatting down and I was like I feel pushy and they're like, no, don't let her squat down. Like, and so it was just like, that was wild. So then things got really intensely painful after that. And then like when the doctor tried to make me lay down, she's like, well, if she's wanting to push, she came in, she's like, lay down.
Oh yes, let's get to the worst position.
She goes, let me see if I can move this piece of cervix out of the way, and like makes me lay flat down and sticks her hand up there. And then like it's so I mean, was at like a 9.5 or a 10.
Yeah.
So like the contractions are intense because they're getting ready to
eject
eject
and when
your
you
baby.
start pushing, like the baby's head is naturally going to like help finish opening it. Like his head would have done that.
Good nurses and a good doctor, they can get you in a good position and help massage in between contractions to make sure things adjust and that you don't tear. Yeah,
that was like what last week's was like all about, like birthing positions.
Yeah.
And like the benefit of being like letting gravity work for you and not being on your back.
Yeah.
So
yeah, no, back is, and even with Ellen, like I wanted to sit up more and I was like, can I sit up more? Can I like, and it just is. Yeah.
Well, once you've been given an epidural, like, and that's what they were talking about today, it's like
harder.
You ultimately, like, because I'm assuming, did you have to have a catheter both times then with your epidural?
With the Ellen, not with Grant.
Because typically, like, if you get an epidural, you have to have a catheter, so you're hooked up to machines. You can't move. You have to stay on the bed. So then you're like ultimately so limited on how you can move. Like you can do the peanut ball, you can be on your side, you know, like there's things you can do,
give you different positions and
but
stuff,
it just like prohibits you from being able to like move and help your body like do what it needs. And so it's just like it just makes it harder. And then you are
and
like,
even with Grant, when I was walking around, but I still had all the cords and everything hooked up to me because they could unplug me, but then I would have to go and get plugged in to monitor baby again. And
you
then,
could
like,
walk with an epidural?
No, with Grant.
Oh yeah, you didn't have an epidural with Grant.
No. So
yeah, because with an epidural then they have to do continuous fetal monitoring, which also prohibits you from you're essentially strapped in at that point.
Yeah. Luckily with Ellen it was like 30 minutes.
It was quick. Yeah. That's nice.
But with Grant, like, because we walked the halls and everything, but I still had to like and with Ellen, I knew I was going to have an IV and I was going to not be able to move. So I feel like that's why I went in thinking, like, I want that epidural. Because if I'm going to have to sit, because I had to get antibiotics.
So that's another thing they were talking about in Europe. They don't even test for Group B strep. So nice. And they just monitor the baby post-birth because, like, everyone has Group B strep. It's just if it's too high.
Gotcha.
And the levels being too high. And they were like, you can turn it down. Like, you can turn down even being tested for it. And you can turn down
in here, in the States, or just in Europe?
In the States.
Okay.
In Europe, they don't even test for it.
Right, okay.
And then they were saying, like, you can also turn down a hep lock. You don't have to have an IV. Like, it's your right. Yeah. So I think it's just a lot of like informed consent and knowing like, yeah, if you want to have one, great.
Yeah.
Go ahead, do whatever.
I think hospitals encourage it because I didn't have to have like a continuous IV with Grant.
Yeah.
I just had to have like the cords or whatever, and I had to have one placed because at Vera, one of their policies is...
And maybe depending on different hospitals, what their policies are. But she was saying like when someone comes in, because their whole thing that they say is, oh, well... what if it's an emergency and we need to give you Pitocin because you're hemorrhaging? Yeah. And it's like, then me an IV find quick. The IV or throw some Pitocin in my thigh. Like, they're like, people don't come into the ER with hep locks already placed for them so they can give them the drugs they need. Like, that's really true. If it's an emergency situation, treat it like an emergency situation. Exactly.
I also think that I'm like, for Lord willing of next baby, I really want to test a few things for postpartum because my postpartum wasn't bad, but my body just felt like, I don't know how to, like, really loose and like very fragile. which, yeah.
With Ellen because of the...
No, with Grant, too. So both of them. So I thought, like, I had Pitocin with both because they automatically was like, you know, we just, to prevent bleeding out. It's like, okay, can we just watch me, make sure I'm not bleeding out? And then if I do start to, then give me Pitocin.
Yeah.
Instead of they just automatically give you Pitocin.
Right.
And Pitocin, I've done some research now. And I didn't want it for Ellen. And I had asked about it. And Dr. Watson was like, well, that's one of my things that, like, basically he wouldn't negotiate on. But he wasn't even the one who delivered her. But whatever, I didn't. But that it's like, it does make you feel like loose and out of sorts, and like, I don't really know how to describe it, and it's so long ago that I researched it, but basically my mom and I were kind of researching it, and it seemed like
that could be some of the side effects of it. Yeah,
because I always just feel like,
I mean, it makes sense,
like, so wide in my rib cage, and that everything's out of sorts, and that I feel like I have to be so gentle when I, like, roll over in bed or lay in bed. I just feel, I don't know.
Yeah, it'd be interesting if you have a birth without it to be able to compare. It's always so hard too, because it's like, okay, your first pregnancy, just because it is your first pregnancy, your body's could be way different than your third, even if you did the exact same thing. So,
and I do think my postpartum with Ellen was definitely better than my postpartum with Grant, but they were very similar in a lot of ways because I had stitches for both and Pitocin happened for both. So I'm like, I don't know. And then, but it was easier with Ellen because I knew what was happening, but then I did have the placenta leave-in. So I'm like, if I didn't have that happen, would it have been an easier recovery? I don't know. It's
so hard. You can't compare apples to apples in that case, but
so anyways, things to test for each future birth. But it
is just very interesting, just
because every pregnancy and every woman is so different too, so you can't even compare
right,
like, you to me or anything,
and you can't like even the girl like leading the class, she's like, you can have a really great birth plan, but like things can happen. Like you should be prepared for other things too. Like don't be so like, and don't beat yourself up if something happens. Like if like, for instance, like one of the like reasons where they'd be like, yeah, you have to have a C-section is like if the cord started coming first, or, you know, like there are things where it's and like,
there's thank God for those like cases where it can save the life of the baby and the mom or whatever, but let's hope
if it's like a true like it's an needed intervention,
it's not just like,
which I guess
we want to schedule and we
a needed intervention could be a relative term because everyone's what's needed is very different for everyone. But yes, basically, I mean, this does tie into what we were going to talk about today. We are going to talk about like infertility,
trying to conceive,
all the
loss, miscarriage. So trigger warning, if any of that is not something that you are in the space to listen to, this is your exit out now, I suppose.
Yeah, thanks for listening to our intro. No.
But if you're in a season of the waiting or the unknown, this is a good episode for you because we've both been there. So
yes.
Okay. Where to start? I mean, I have 2 kids, so it can seem like, oh, she gets pregnant easy and whatever. But if you don't know my story, we tried for almost a year before we got pregnant the first time, and then that ended up being a miscarriage. And then later in that year we did get pregnant with Grant, and that obviously was a great pregnancy. And then between Grant and Ellen, I did have 2 miscarriages, which are unexplained, and they just say, you know, it happens every 1 in 5, which seems like a lot.
I thought it was 1 in 3.
It's even worse.
I thought it was 1 in 3, but I mean, maybe
probably now it is because of the way that, I mean, like, you know,
I knew it's very high.
Yeah, it is high. So it's not uncommon. And I mean, just like in our like life group, friend group alone, I feel like more than half have had miscarriages at this point. Yeah. And it's like, unfortunately, part of our society with the way that we feed our bodies and such, it just happens. The frustrating part is the unexplained, and you know, once you see the 2 lines, you get really excited and you expect a baby. And I think that was with the first miscarriage, that was kind of, I don't know, I still get really excited when I see 2 pink lines or whatever, but
absolutely.
But there's always that, okay, but is it going to be real? And that's kind of how it's always real. But also it's like, is it going
is it going to be a full term?
Yeah. Am I going to have an actual, full term pregnancy or whatever? And we just did, it was a miscarriage pregnancy law. I don't know. We just had one a couple weeks ago, but it wasn't like, I wouldn't have even been but like 4 weeks. So it's not as.
You still had a positive pregnancy test.
Yeah.
It just.
Yeah, it never really grew past that.
Right.
So it's like the egg and sperm met, I guess, but then nothing like.
What do
really
they call it? A chemical?
Yeah, is that what a chemical is when it's like you were pregnant but it didn't take, essentially? Like the hormones started developing but nothing ever really grew.
Nothing ever grew. Yeah, I don't know for sure because I have not researched that of like the terminology of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's crazy because I think there are a lot of women that talk about it and then there's a lot of women that don't. So then I think sometimes you assume like, oh, she hasn't because she hasn't told you about it. Yeah.
And I know that there's even that within my own family where like I didn't know that any of my like had miscarriages, or then there's the ones that do talk about it or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna talk about it because it helps me not feel as alone, or like, I don't know.
Yeah. Everyone processes things differently. Like I process things by talking about it with people, where some people internalize things and do not process that way.
So different strokes for different folks, but I just am sharing in case anybody else is going through that. You're not alone, and God is still good. And I'm lucky because I do have 2 beautiful children,
beautiful little babies,
and I'm so grateful for them. And it does make it a lot easier having them and seeing like the hope and the promise of like, okay, if I hadn't had that miscarriage, I wouldn't have Grant, and then if I hadn't had those miscarriages, I wouldn't have had Ellen. And like those obviously weren't going to be, or they weren't healthy, they weren't right, so like kind of shifted my mindset. Of course, the first one before Grant was very devastating because it felt really hopeless of like almost a year trying to conceive, and then you do, and then it was a loss right away.
Well, and I think like, especially your first one, like I have a few friends that have lost their first, and it's like,
can we even? You
don't have that child to look at and say like, oh, I know there's hope, and like that would be so hard. Like I cannot imagine. Yeah.
So it just is like, obviously now we have Grant, so I can look back and say, oh, that was God's plan and that was God's timing. But it's way easier to look back and see, oh, God's timing was perfect, than in the moment when you're going through loss saying, but God's timing, all in God's timing. Though that is the truth. God's timing is perfect and it is better for us in every way, but it's so hard to see it in those moments.
Yeah, when you're in the thick of it, it's not, it doesn't seem as comforting at that time.
And it's a classic line from fellow Christians, like, and it's truth. It doesn't take away from the truth of it.
No, and it doesn't have to like take away your pain necessarily, but like how you grieve and how you handle that pain.
Yes, and joy and sorrow can coexist, and they do often. And that really was, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, present to me. I don't know, like it resonated with me really well with like this last one when I was very sad about it, but also like had so much joy with like Grant and Ellen. So I was like, had started when we found out about it, like I was crying, and then the next little bit I was laughing because of Grant or Ellen, and it was just like, these things can be true at the same time. But yes, so we're still sort of in that unknown. Or like, are we going to be able to have more kids? We hope so. Is there anything wrong with us? Or is it just like the stroke of the, like one, I don't know. They don't really test anything unless you have 3 miscarriages in a row, which is
interesting.
Wild. So yeah, this last, in between Grant and Ellen, he did test a few hormone things for me because he's like, I'll run them if you want them. And I was like, I would like them. Nothing came back. Everything was well within
in their
range.
Standard. Yeah.
So yeah, within there. So I don't know.
Sometimes I find their ranges, like, it's interesting because even like when I go in and just like get my, do my urine thing at my checkups, Lauren will be like, oh, this is what they say ranges, but pregnant women can be in this area and it's fine. And it's like, well, then why is that the range? Yeah. So it's just interesting. Like,
I would love to see like a holistic doctor and be like, what do you think about this? What is, I will say with my two, what I'm just calling successful pregnancies, I don't know. I was on a progesterone supplement, because I had the miscarriage before. My doctor right away with Grant put me on a progesterone supplement because when they had like done blood tests and whatever, that was low for what it should have been. So they're like, we're just gonna put you on this, and then ends up being a full-term successful pregnancy. And then the same thing with after having the 2 miscarriages, they put me on progesterone right away with Ellen's, and it ended up. So I don't know. I mean,
yeah, is that something you should just be on then?
Well, it's only like you don't need high progesterone just
in your daily life.
I think.
But maybe if you're like trying to get pregnant, you should be on it.
Or like
I don't know. That's obviously. I was gonna go look at
what your progesterone was.
You said yours was high or low?
Low.
Mine was insanely low.
What was yours?
0.03.
When you were pregnant?
No, when I had tested in September.
Okay. Have you gotten retested?
No.
Oh. So that would be interesting to see. Well, I guess obviously.
Because I know one of the things that he put, which we'll get into this, but one of the things that he put me on was like a whole food. I'm trying to find which one it was. Like a whole food progesterone supplement.
See, maybe I should be on something like that, because the ones that I have are is suppository? Is that the right? No. It's a,
that goes up your vagina?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm. It's one of those, and you have to do it like at night.
Okay.
So, yes.
I do
have them because this last time they prescribed them right away, but just like it didn't even go past a week.
Here. It was Simplex F, and it coordinates with estrogen and progesterone to balance it.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yes. Well, that's basically my story of it is, I mean, it's unknown. It's in God's hands. Adam and I have talked about, like, we've kind of idolized having a big family in a way, or he felt a little more convicted about this. And I definitely have always been like, oh, I want as many kids as the Lord will give us, and, no less than 4 if I, because I came from a big family and I loved it. And then also I just really love being a mom and want to give my kids the gift of siblings. So yeah, but Adam has said that he felt like he was maybe idolizing the idea of a big family and like lots of kids running around, and like this makes him more of a man or something. And so to just truly give it up to God and say, you have control over,
it's not our choices that are making this, it's yours kind of thing.
Yeah, like God opens and closes the womb. And yes, we live in a sin fallen world, and it could truly just be the environment we live in, and it's, this is not God's intended design, but because we sin every day, we chose sin in the garden, this is how it is. But we're prayerful for more kids, and we hope that it happens. We're doing everything in our power to be healthy and to, submit to God's will for our lives. And we're not preventing, but
yeah, I think like in something my mom, because at my 6-week appointment, I think I told you this, how when they were doing the ultrasound, they saw like a small hematoma next to the baby where it had like attached to the uterine wall.
Oh yeah.
And my doctor was like, oh, that, it usually just resolves and goes away, but naturally, I go on the internet and it's like, oh, it can be something that causes miscarriage. And I was just like,
you've been around it a lot.
Oh my gosh, but there's nothing they can do about it. There's literally nothing they can do, because they were like, oh, our plan of action would be come in 2 weeks, do another ultrasound, and we'll see if it's changed. I'm like, oh, so nothing's gonna, it's not gonna fix it,
No.
And I remember talking to my mom about it, and my mom is, well, she's a doula. She's a registered doula. So obviously she has that, but then she's my mom too. And she's had 5 kids. She's had a miscarriage. And my mom's pretty, she's in tune with her emotions, but she's also can be just very blunt. Well, this happens for a reason and stuff. And she was basically telling me, she was like, if you do have a miscarriage, it's probably a blessing, because something was not right with that baby, whether it was environment, genetic, whatever it was. I mean, there's a reason typically why in nature, animals lose a baby because it wasn't formed correctly, or it like, and I always equate everything to cattle, and I know that rubs people wrong sometimes.
Really?
But it's just so interesting. Like in our birth class today, they were talking about how way back before like C-sections would have ever been a thing, if a woman's pelvic was too small, she would die in childbirth. And those genetics would not get passed on, because having too small of a pelvic is going to get passed on to your daughter, you know, or your sons. And so they're saying now, if someone has too small of a pelvic, perfect, we'll give you a C-section. Those genetics are going on. And it's like, there are, like, I know that sounds very like, I don't know, primitive thinking, but it's like, there's a reason why certain genetics are passed on and why some are not. And like before, there were so many interventions that could have been done to save a life. Like sometimes there was a reason why genetics didn't, like why people died in birth, or why people didn't reproduce. And I think now, with like IVF and stuff, it's like, it's so sad to say, because I know some people want a baby so bad, but it's like, why is all this happening? Like, is it because maybe you shouldn't pass some of that stuff on? Like, that sounds so like heartless, because I know there are so many people who just want a baby so bad, right? But it's like, sometimes you just wonder, like from a, I don't know, like Homo sapien kind of like viewpoint of like, there's a reason why things happen sometimes. And I think that's so hard. If you're like, maybe that's not good advice, but I just think it's like very interesting how we have so much access to do so many things. Yeah.
That you wouldn't have been.
And it's like, yeah, like there were a lot of barren women in the probably 1800s who just never were able to have children, and never did.
And like I said before, God opens and closes the womb.
True.
Obviously people have
even in the Bible, like, there were like barren women.
Yeah. There have been men who like have had tests done and they're spermless essentially.
Yeah.
And then eventually down the line, all of a sudden they have sperm. And it's like, God controls all of that.
Oh yeah. And like God can perform any miracle. I found the whole, like when they were talking about like having to perform C-sections on women whose pelvics were too small, I was like, oh, that's interesting.
No, it's a lot of the cases of C-sections.
I thought I was infertile for a long time, actually. Yeah. I have always had like the weirdest periods. Like I remember I got my first period pretty late. I was actually laughing because I was telling Cole the other day, I was like, I remember like having a tampon in my like backpack so that if I ever like would get my period, I would have one. And the first time I put a tampon in, I don't even remember where I was, but I had to call my mom. I was in a like public bathroom somewhere. I had to call my mom and be like, how do you put a tampon in? Like I was probably 16 or 17. Like I was older, I guess, for some. I mean, some girls get it really young. Again, everyone's body is different. But then they'd be super irregular. And I remember one of my friends, this is going to sound so sheltered and homeschooled, you guys, but one of my friends, I told her that I hadn't had my period in like 4 months, and she was like, oh, you're pregnant. And I was like, I'm not pregnant. And she's like, yeah, if you missed your period. Like, and she had older siblings who obviously had talked to her about like, oh, I missed my period. So like took a test and now I'm pregnant, you know, like and I don't know if it had like clicked. And so I remember being like, I've never had sex. I can't be pregnant. Like, are you crazy? And I just remember like, so I'll be basically getting to the fact that I just always had very irregular period cycles. Yeah. And, when I got married at 19, we never like said, we were always like, oh, like, yeah, if I get pregnant, I get pregnant. Like, cool. And so for almost 10 years, like we were not prohibiting pregnancy. And I went in, I remember maybe like, I don't know, when I was like 24, 25, and had like a pap, and I was like, is it weird that I haven't gotten pregnant? Like, and I remember the OB just being like, nope, looks good down there, you're good. And that's all she said. And I was just like, oh, okay. And so I was like, lazy. Okay. And I was never really, and I think this is probably a God thing, I never had this like strong desire to have a baby with him. I
absolutely think it was a God thing.
And so I never really like pushed it because it was like a, well, if it happens, it happens kind of thing. And so when obviously got divorced, he got I also always thought, well, maybe it's just him, right?
Yeah.
And so like literally not even divorced, he pretty much has this girl pregnant already, and I was like, well, clearly it's not him. Like, I'm the problem here. Like, it's me. I'm the problem. And I remember being like, when Cole and I started dating, that was something that he really wanted, was children. And he would talk about it quite a bit, like how he was like really excited to be a dad someday, and how he wants to carry on his family's last name because he's the only Holtz grandson, and just like all this stuff.
So hefty burden to carry.
I know. And I remember being like, I'm gonna level with you. Like, I have pretty, like, I don't have any medical proof that I'm infertile, but I have like
10 years of marriage without preventing.
Yeah. And like just this like, I don't think I can have kids.
Yeah.
And I remember him being just like, well, have you actually like looked into this? And I was like, no. And he was like, I think it's just a God thing that, you know, like he was protecting you from not having a child with your ex, and that, you know, like I'm not gonna not marry you because of this.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, someone might, I mean, depending on how, or I don't know. But so, after we got married in May, I was like, maybe I'll just magically get pregnant. And not magically, but you know, and it would have been, so like we got married in May. So June, July, August, September. So 4 months went by, and I had like, again, super irregular periods still up until this time. So I remember like I had one that like was like a 3-week period, and then I had a 2-month period, and I was like, okay, like I want to have a baby with him, and I am 33 years old. Like I need to figure this out.
Yeah.
And so I started working with a homeopathic doctor. He works for, it's kind of random how I met him, because my aunt was dating him at the time, and now they're not together. So it's funny because we'll like still kind of like talk about my aunt, but like not. But he works for a company called Restoration Health and Wellness, and it's an online company. And he is a doctor of neuropathic medicine, is like what his
title is.
Yes. And so basically I did like a really in-depth intake call with him, because I think he's in like North Carolina, so he's not around here. And this would have been like in very beginning of September, I think. And we just talked over like everything, like lifestyle, emotion, oh my gosh, I can't say it. Spirituality. I'll say it really fast.
Spirituality.
Like how I feel about like the act of getting pregnant. Like, like what kind of products are we using in our home? What's my diet like? Just a whole encompassing thing, not just like, oh, your vagina looks good. Yeah. Like you should be fine, like
your uterus in there looks good.
Yeah. You've got a uterus, so you're fine. Yeah. And so, like a really in-depth intake, and then he just sent me it was like a blood and saliva panel that I did at home, and I had to do it like at certain times of the day, so like multiple blood drops different times of the day after I'd eaten, after I woke up, same with saliva. And so did kind of like a full panel on all of my hormones and tested all these different things. And then so this would have been, and I believe in September I started eating like the Whole30 diet. Mm-hmm. Maybe it was even,
I feel like, was it even before that?
Was it maybe August?
Before you even met with him. Because he had you continue it.
Yeah, maybe I started it in August, because now that I'm remembering, I don't really remember eating any fair food.
Yeah.
It might have been, okay, for the sake of, we'll say it was like middle of August, I think I started. Sometime
you didn't
in the summer.
start at the beginning of a month. I remember that being this.
Yeah, I remember
like,
like going to weddings for sure in September, and yeah, maybe some August ones, eating very like, okay, I can eat the meat and that's it.
Yeah,
or like
that's what I
they
remember.
had fruit
And
that's all I could eat was like the meat and the fruit.
I went to some end of August weddings.
Yes,
too, so.
I think it was like it might have been like right after Brown County Fair or
Yeah.
like somewhere around that time. I started eating Whole30 because I had told him every time I eat really clean, my periods regulate themselves. And so, and he was like, well, can you commit to that like long term? And I was like, I don't want to, but I can because I want to have a baby. Mm-hmm. And so I had started eating Whole30. I think I had been doing it for about a month and a half up until getting these tests. So we did the tests. After I did the testing with him, he basically just like went through all of my labs and then had prescribed me. I think there was like, I'll quick read them. And I don't want anyone just to say, oh,
okay,
I'm going to take these because that's what I need. Like these were like personally specialized to my labs
and saliva,
right? Like not just like you'll get pregnant if you take these. The one thing I will say that he said that does just increase fertility in general is wheat germ oil. Okay, so that's something that I think you could probably just start taking if you were like wanting to increase your fertility.
Sounds horrible.
It's in a capsule form.
Okay.
Everything that I took was in capsule form except for this first one. It's called Thorn Ovarian Care. And it's I should back up a little bit. I was also diagnosed with PCOS prior to ever like meeting with him. And I feel like I have some of the symptoms. I don't know if I fit it perfectly, but PCOS isn't something that you can just take a blood test for and it says, yep, you have PCOS. It's like, oh, well, if you fall under this, and this, have infertility, weight gain, like,
or it's hard to lose weight.
Hard to lose, very irregular periods. Obviously, it can have cysts on your ovaries, like excessive hair growth. There's like a bunch of different things that if you have even 2 of them, you could be diagnosed with it. And so this was something that for my PCOS, it's a 40:1 ratio of the myo-inositol, which is something that a lot of like people with PCOS will be on.
Okay.
So I was on that, and then you put me on Ovex P, and the rest of these are all by a company called Standard Process. And then the wheat germ oil, Catalin, Simplex F, a zinc liver citrate, Fortil B12.
Fortil B12.
That's what he had me on. And I was like, I'm dedicated to this. Like, I am like, we are not missing like any of these. I am going to be good. And so I kept doing that diet, was taking those supplements. And I think that I'm trying to even remember yes, I think we had one check-in and he just like wanted to know like, hey, have you been having any symptoms on any of these? How are you feeling? I didn't really notice any like drastic changes. I think being on that diet in general, like I feel really good because it's just a very clean diet and like your body just feels good running on whole foods.
Yeah.
And so I had those tests done end of September. So I would have been on the pills for like all of October. I had a normal, like my period had already started like regulating itself because of the diet a little bit. So I had like a quote normal period in September, like a 29-day period I had in October.
Cycle, she means.
Or yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I had a period, had a 29-day cycle, had another period in October. And then in November, I remember because we were out pheasant hunting and I was like, oh my gosh, I think I am getting my period. But I was like, but it was kind of around the time where I like quote should have like, it was like, I think at like day 29, 30, something right in there. So and I remember like having to call Brooke and be like, can I go to your house and steal a tampon? Cause we were like over by like where they live. And so I went in and took one. And then I remember like kind of forgetting about it. You guys, don't be like me. I'm so bad about leaving tampons in. It's a problem. You put one on
just in case you weren't even bleeding.
Like I had like had a teeny little like I had wiped and there was a teeny little bit and I was like tampon in. That's how I roll. I know that it's not right. I hate pads. Anyway, so that night, I think I forgot about it. And the next morning I woke up and I was like, oh crap, I should change that tampon. And took it out and there was like no blood in it. And I was like, that's weird. And so then like that afternoon I had like another little bit of like blood, put another tampon, came out empty. And I was like, that's weird. And then I was like, but I'm sure my body's regulating. Like I've only been on these, you know, supplements for probably like a month and like maybe 5 weeks at this point. And so didn't really think anything of it. And then beginning of December, I like was having all of these, and maybe I've kind of talked about this a little bit when I told them I was pregnant. I can't remember. Anyway, ultimately I'll fast forward. My boobs hurt. I went and got a massage and my nipples hurt. And I was like, what is going on? Smells were really weird. And I was like, do you know when you're pregnant? Like I remember calling one of my friends and I was like, do you like just know? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't think I can be though, because in my head, like I had just had that period in November and I was like, my period shouldn't even be due. Yeah. Like I shouldn't be pregnant. Like, and so, yeah, I took a pregnancy test and lo and behold, I was pregnant. So figuring out when I got pregnant is kind of hard, because if you would go off of my like last period would have been in October, which would have put my due date like way into like July. And so they were like, you might have just ovulated really late. Like they don't really know. And I was even doing like the temperature thing. I don't know. Didn't track it for you? Not really well. I don't know. There wasn't like a solid, and I was trying to be really good too. There wasn't, which I'm like, oh, I should back up. When he did my labs, I'm so sorry. I'm like really good at missing key elements into the story. When he did my lab work and he was looking at everything, looking at like where certain levels were, he basically told me that he didn't think my body was ever ovulating, which would actually make a lot of sense, because I know women who have very like regulated periods and cycles who can tell you when they're ovulating, like just off of not even like going off of temperatures or anything. They're just like, oh, I can feel that I'm ovulating right now.
Not me. I have long cycles too. Like I used to have really regular. Then I went like the summer that we moved here, I was working not a very stressful job, but where I wasn't really sleeping a lot. Yeah. Didn't have a period for 3 months, and that freaked my mom out. And so she
pregnant.
Had me go to I'm sorry. She was like, you need to have periods. Like that's not normal. And so go to the doctors. The doctor was like, birth control. Mm-hmm. To give you a synthetic period.
Right.
Great.
Fake it till you make it, baby.
Right. So I did that until Adam and I were married.
Oh, okay.
And even like while we were married, because then it was like, well, birth control, don't want to get pregnant yet.
Right.
And then I realized like how horrible those are for you. So we stopped doing that. But then I thought that's why it took us so long to get pregnant. And it could have been that my body was still like getting that all out. But anyways, yeah. And now ever since then I have like
just like
30 plus day cycles. So I ovulate really late in my cycle.
Interesting.
So,
and I know everyone is different. Some people have 26 days. Some can be all the way up till 33, 35. I mean, as long as it's like a constant cycle, I think that you're fine. It's just, okay. So it's interesting. Like everyone can just have different lengths of cycles, but
sorry if on YouTube you missed any of that footage. We don't know where it cut out.
Yeah.
We think it just cut out, but anyways.
Never know. But yeah, so he basically was like, I don't think you've really ever been ovulating, which is wild. Yeah. Because, I mean, I've been getting my, quote, cycle and period since I was, I think it was like 15, 16. Anyway, but yeah, so it's like, that's crazy. And so he's like, well, yeah, you can't get pregnant if you're not ovulating.
Yeah, obviously.
And so, and I think that can kind of like fall within the PCOS stuff too. But it's all very interesting. And I love, like, after I got pregnant then, he was one of the first people I told. I emailed him and I was like, hey, I have a positive pregnancy test. And, like, so excited. And he was like, right away, he's like, let's schedule a call. And so, again, he, like, sat with me for, like, an hour. And it was like, how are you feeling about this? Like, what emotions have you been feeling? How's Cole doing with it? Like, and not just like okay, cool, make sure you take this prenatal now, bye. Like, literally. And so, like, he basically recustomized kind of like my there were a few things that I'd been taking that he was like, nope, you shouldn't be taking these now that you're pregnant. So let's cut these out. And let's add these in. These will be giving you all of the things that baby needs and that you need. So instead of being on, and no hate for like a all-in-one prenatal, if that's what you're on, but he basically like customized my,
that's so nice.
supplements for pregnancy.
Yeah. Based to you.
Yeah. Based on my previous lab work, and then based on like getting pregnant, like, okay, let's switch this now because you're going to need this for baby. And then even just like throughout the pregnancy, I've been working with him and usually I do like a month to 2 months kind of in between calls. And he just like is so good about like asking like, you know, well, what have you been craving? And then goes down into that of like, okay, yeah, if you've been like, when I was craving bread, do you remember?
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, that makes sense. Right now at like week 8, babies are developing their like bone structure and different things, and they need this that's in grains. Like, so eat the food that you're craving. To be said, if you're craving like
Skittles.
Yeah, probably
that's
don't.
not going to give
baby that's
anything.
not helping.
Probably
the baby.
just eat fruit. Maybe you should just eat fruit.
But if you're craving like real foods, he's like, eat them. Like, please eat them.
Like if you're a vegan and you're craving meat, just eat the meat.
Like I was craving pears for a while, or like, you know, different things.
I kind of want to be pregnant in the summer next time because I always crave fruit
I know.
so bad, and I've only had winter pregnancies.
I definitely have craved fruit. I definitely craved like the bread for a while. That was like the weirdest craving just because I don't eat a lot of bread. And I was trying to stick to Whole30 at the time, and you can't have bread on Whole30. And so I've kind of like started going back. For a while I kind of fell off the bandwagon of Whole30 just because it was so hard. Like
first
when
trimester,
food didn't sound good.
Been there, you know.
Yeah, but I've slowly been kind of like, okay, I need to recommit back to this, or at least just very whole foods and like cutting sugars and trying to
keep bumping
eat as healthy as possible, just because like ultimately like that's what's going to help the baby stay healthy. But yeah, so working with him was really amazing, and I'm so fortunate that he's also a believer. Like he like one of the times like he prayed with me, like just so intentional with everything that he does, and feeling so seen and so heard like with everything. Like I never feel dumb if I'm like, oh yeah, like this, or well, I know that I shouldn't do that, but you know, like he just is so understanding, and like you can tell he deeply cares. And I'm not saying that medical, like
you can get a good doctor, but
there are great OBs who like definitely care. I just think like having that like personalized feeling for me has been so like helpful, and knowing that if I do have any like more probably like health concerns as far as like food and like how I'm feeling, I typically reach out to him, not my OB.
And that's the nice thing about like those smaller practices, or like people like holistic doctors or whatever who are a little more intentional. Same with like dietitians and stuff, at least in some, they like take a certain number that they know they can handle and give their full attention to. Where like doctors in a hospital are, you're like,
they're bombarded with so many clients.
They're like, this is your limit, you have to, you don't have this many new patients. Like how can they even keep track? So
but no, so and obviously God had a huge factor in it too. Like we were praying for it, and just knowing that it was in his hands, and just trying to do as much as I could environmentally, food,
to like steward the body that he gave you, the temple.
And I'm sure that like, because I was told by a different doctor, like, oh, I can just give you a progesterone shot that would make you ovulate. And it's like, like I'm sure it would have, but like I didn't want to be putting like synthetic stuff into my body if at all possible. If
you can do a natural thing, that's the way to go.
And I was actually like, I think that's why too, like when I was like, I can't be pregnant, like in my head this was going to be such a long process. Like it was going to be like months. Oh my gosh, and is this even going to work? Are we going to have to like, you know, do in vitro? Are we gonna like what steps are we going to have to take to have a kid? Because I really I don't know if I fully believed that it would like work, because I was like what is this going to entail? So I do feel very fortunate that it was like granted, like it's not easy to eat a whole food diet, especially in the Midwest.
Especially and when other people aren't around you, and your weddings where you don't have any control.
Yeah, like I had to be very intentional with my diet, and
lots of Chomps beef sticks,
Laura
bars.
Yeah, shout out to Chomps and Laura bars. But yeah, so I do feel incredibly blessed. And I'm so happy that, like, obviously baby is doing good, and I think that was hard too in the beginning, because I was like, is everything gonna be okay? And I feel like at the 12-week appointment, when I like got to see her moving and stuff and we found out the gender, it's just become even more real for me. And now I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna like live in the mindset of fear, because that's not gonna help. Like it's not gonna help her develop, it's not gonna help me, like it's just not gonna help anything. And it can be hard, because I feel like in the beginning I was a little bit like, oh, is everything okay? Like every time I'd wipe, I'd be like, well, what if I start spotting? You know, it's like, and thank goodness I never did, because I probably would have spiraled. And like one of my friends is pregnant right now, and she like spots all the time because of her like placenta is really low next to her cervix, and it's normal. It will like start to grow up, but it's a normal thing that she would be spotting all the time. And I was like, I'd be so freaked out. Yeah. Like, but again, I probably shouldn't have that mindset, because anything like that's not like it's not like an uncommon thing that you would spot every once in a while during pregnancy. Yeah. But yeah, I think just like there's so much learning, especially like I feel like I knew a lot, but then like between doing these classes and just all the things, I'm like, there's so much I don't know. And like there's just so much that I think you could go into it not knowing things, and you're like, oh boy. Yeah. I should educate myself. So that would be my like advice, is like take it into your own hands a little bit. Like no one's going to fight for you
more than you.
Right. And yeah, like people obviously can have good intentions and care, but are they actually like really trying to like listen to you and help you in your journey, and not just put you in a box like everybody else? But yeah.
I'm glad that you had that specialized care. Is it expensive?
I don't think so like my first visit, I think my intake one was like $300, and then just to do the testing and stuff, I think was like $500. And then every time I do a call with him, it's $150. So I would say no. I don't know definition of like what's expensive. Like it's something I prioritize and care. Right. Like to me, that's like worth every penny. And I don't know. Maybe it would be covered by insurance. I haven't been like putting it in on insurance, but it maybe would, because it is like an actual like office, like a doctor's office. Yeah. So I'm sure people even like HSAs might cover it too. I should look into that, but yeah,
very cool. Yes. Well, if you are in a season of waiting, or you're just kind of starting your trying to conceive journey or whatever, hopefully this information was beneficial to you. Or if you're in a season of loss or waiting for your rainbow baby, or if you're pregnant and you're just a fan and you're listening, I hope that you enjoyed and that this was insightful to you. I think the main thing we want you to take from this is that God is sovereign, and my son is twisting the door handle trying to get in. My husband is here somewhere.
Kids are great. No.
No, but yeah, just God's good. His timing is perfect, and as hard as it is in the moment, that's when it's most important to truly give it to God and trust in God. Saying to someone who's through it but also still in it, and someone who's in the high.
Like I mean, I think I obviously am very sympathetic. Like I can feel like have the empathy. I can't say I've been through it, so it's just hard to like. You can put yourself into someone's shoes, but you can't actually feel. But it's like I just know that so many people have had so much heartbreak around that. But I think that there can be so many positive things too. Yeah, and you went through a very rocky season of, are you ever going to get this? You know, so to be on the other side of it and see, look what God did and what he saved you from. Yeah, and if anything, my story is probably like when we were talking about like God's timing. Yeah. That's like the biggest thing for me. It's like I know that God can make good out of anything, but when I look back, I'm like I'm just so happy that maybe it was worth like me thinking I'm infertile for 10 years and being okay with that. Yeah. Because I think that outcome wise, like I'm in a much better place now. Yeah. But
for sure.
Yes. Well, thank you guys for listening. We hope that you got a lot out of this. And we love you guys. And we will be back again next week
with the more lighthearted topic.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.